Hello friends, this is Satvinder Bhatia from Sukhmani Immigration Services, Brampton, Canada. I'm a regulated and licensed Canadian immigration consultant. Today, I'll be sharing with you a very important concept, a very important product, and this is an open work permit. I'll be sharing complete details with you, but before that, very small request. If you are new to the channel and have not subscribed yet, please do consider subscribing. We talk a lot about Canadian immigration news, update, tips, tricks on this channel. If you like the video, please share it with your family and friends so that they can also benefit. Just remember one single thing, this channel is dedicated to Canadian immigration. Anything happening on Canadian immigration, you will get it here. So let's move on to a very important topic, and this topic is very relevant in today's concept. So this topic is a open work permit, and this is called VOWP. So this is vulnerable open work permit, or sometimes it is called open work permit -V. So this is for vulnerable people. What is this vulnerable? So we'll be taking entire details about this open work permit which is issued to vulnerable people. So let's see what this is. Now, before I jump on to the vulnerable open work permit, let me tell you, many people arrange LMIA, either paid, unpaid, whatever they do, they arrange LMIA. Based on that LMIA, they come to Canada. Now, with that LMIA, they come either alone or they come with family. They come to Canada, they work with the hope of getting a permanent residency. So LMIA is kind of a tool which is used to come to Canada, work in Canada, and then thereafter get a permanent residency. Now this LMIA gives you what is called as a closed work permit, or let it put it like this, employer specific work permit. Now what is the meaning of employer specific work permit? Employer specific work permit means employer who has sponsored you, who has invited you to Canada, you can only work with that employer. You cannot move to another employer. So basically, you get attached, you get tied up with that particular employer. Sometimes the employers are nice, they help you. They not only help you in gaining the experience, work experience in Canada, but they help you in also gaining the permanent residency. But this is not the case always. This is not the case always. Sometimes the situation changes 360 degree. And when it changes, there is a product which is called as open work permit -V, or sometimes it is called as VOWP, vulnerable open work permit. This is for vulnerable workers. This is an open work permit for vulnerable workers. Now, this is for foreign workers who have employer specific work permit, meaning they have come to Canada on a LMIA based work permit. They are here in Canada on a LMIA based work permit, but they move on to a open work permit. And this is aimed at protecting the workers from any kind of abuse if it happens on the workplace. So this is a very special thing, but very few people are aware of it. The reason why VOWP was created, vulnerable open work permit was created, because sometimes workers face unsafe environment, harassment, and exploitation. So employer specific work permit can be a trap. As I already told you, it can be a trap in an abusive relationship, in an abusive situation, because see, you are dependent upon an employer, and that dependency itself creates the problem. You become dependent upon employer from not only financially but for the paperwork also. So an employer knows that without his paperwork you cannot file permanent residency. So you become dependent upon employer, and that's where the abuse starts. So vulnerable open work permit allows the vulnerable people to leave the abusive employer. They can leave the abusive employer and can work for a new employer. It is open, they can work for any of the employer. So that is where the vulnerable open work permit comes into picture. Now, who can apply? That's very important. So there is eligibility criteria. Who can apply for this? The first and the most important criteria for this is that you should have LMIA based work permit or employer specific work permit. You can call it LMIA based work permit, you can call it as employer specific work permit, you can call it as closed work permit, but you should have that. That is the first condition. The second condition, and which is very important, is you should be experiencing any kind of abuse at the workplace and you are currently working in Canada. If you are here in Canada, currently working in Canada, so workers sometimes are not able to leave the job. Their reasons could be many. There could be a legal reason. They don't want to leave their status. Or there could be a financial reason. They are here in Canada. How will they pay their rent? If they are with family, how will they buy the groceries? So these are very tricky situations. So if you are on this kind of situation, if you meet the eligibility criteria, you can file a open work permit for vulnerable people, or VOWP, vulnerable open work permit. Now, that's said, the question is, there is a two conditions you saw. One condition is that you should have a LMIA based work permit. The second you saw was that you should be experiencing abuse. When it is said abuse, now what is the definition of the abuse? What kind of abuse? So there are many kinds of abuses which happen, but there are four prominent kinds of abuses which are very much there. Physical abuse. So physical abuse could be violence, it could be unsafe conditions. For example, you are working for a construction company. They should provide you with the proper safety gears, helmets, safety shoes, right equipment. So those unsafe conditions are also abuse. It's a physical abuse. Now, psychological abuse. So psychological abuse, you are tormented, you are humiliated, or undue pressure is subjected to you. That's a psychological. It acts on your mind. It acts on your mind. Comments, unnecessary comments, racial comments, all this is a part of the psychological abuse. Now, this abuse, next one, is also very prominent, and particularly for the female employees, and that is called sexual harassment. And that could be unwanted touching, misconduct, or anything like that. And this is happening on the workplace. So this also is a harassment abuse. So financial abuse. Now, financial abuse I have seen happening maximum with the trucking sector. So what happens? They do the work. When they ask for pay, they don't get the pay. When they ask for their money, they don't get the money. And it's withholding wages. Or if they get the wages, they get deducted wages. They don't get the desired wages. That is called financial abuse. Now, financial abuse it may not come into the picture, but it is a big abuse, because a person who is here in Canada is here working, and he also needs some money to run the show. He also needs some money to feed his family. He also needs some money to take care of himself. So that's also a big abuse. These are four big classes of abuse. So these are not the only abuses. There are many more, but I have listed only top four abuses, rather classes of abuses. So now What is the process? How you can file the application? Now, filing the application is 1, 2, 3 step, three-step process. The first step is that you have to prove the abuse. That abuse is happening with you. You can prove it with emails, with photos, with text, with WhatsApp chat, whatever you have. Paperwork, whatever you can prove that abuse happened with you. The second, fill up the application form. We can help you to fill up the application form. Submit all the documents such as employer correspondence and also the medical records. So sometimes and I am using the word medical records, because sometimes the abuse is physical, and those physical abuses, you go to the doctor or healthcare provider and you can get a medical report, and you can produce that medical report and get your open work permit. So that is very much possible. Now that's the application process, three-step application process. Now you will ask me, what is the benefit of the vulnerable open work permit? So vulnerable open work permit empowers you, that it is a freedom to you. Like, you can leave the employer. You don't have to be scared, right, that he will deport you. You don't have to be scared of that. So you gain the ability to work for any employer in Canada. It is open, right? So you gain the ability to work for any employer. So it protects you from getting deported, which is very important, and encourages. This fourth point is very important, because if any employer behaves wrong with you, then they will be subject to inspection. And so that way, there is at least some authority which makes a check on the employers and encourages the employer to make a safe and ethical environment for you. So that is the benefit of the vulnerable open work permit. Now, that's the benefit. There are some challenges also. The first and the biggest challenge is proving the abuse. So employers are really clever. They don't leave the trace. So proving abuse is very, very difficult. So you need a professional help to help you to get you the proof of this abuse. So proving the abuse is the first and the most important step. So again, second part, and I am doing my duty here, awareness. You do your duty, share this. If your friends, if your relatives, if your colleagues are suffering, share my video with them. If they are suffering, awareness is the key. People are not aware. They don't know. They think there is no way out. This is a one-way trap. No, this is not a trap. You can move out of this situation. You need proper guidance. You need proper support. You need a professional support, and you can move out of this abusive relationship. But another challenge is, this is a temporary solution, my friend. This is not going to last forever. You may get a open work permit for 1 year, 2 years. You can come out of the abusive employer, but it is temporary, right? So another big problem, this cannot be renewed. So government will help you. Government will help you because government is not charging a single dollar on this. Government fee is $0. $0 government fee. But you cannot renew it. You cannot renew it second time, third time. No. So if you get it for, say, 2 years, you have to make sure, again, a professional help comes here, that you have to make sure that you get a permanent residency during that period. Now, a question which I always get, what will happen to my family? My family is also with me. That's definitely a very important and very valid concern. So if family members are with you, you know what? They are also eligible for open work permit. They will also get the open work permit. If your spouse is there with you, she will also get the open work permit. But the question here is that they need to apply the application. The application must be their own. You can submit the application together, but you need to apply. You can apply together, but they need to apply independently. That's the important catch on this. So these are some of the very important information which I shared with you regarding the vulnerable open work permit. Please do share with your friends, relatives who are in Canada, who are being exploited and who are facing a miserable situation. We can definitely help you out in this. If you need to discuss any other case with us, any other type of immigration case, you are more than welcome. You can book an appointment with us. Our office is located in Brampton. Address, email ID, phone number. Everything is provided right here with you. Most important thing. If you have still not subscribed to the channel, please do consider subscribing. Thank you very much for watching the video. Thanks.